Hello and welcome to the Young Guns. Tonight we're going to talk some college basketball at super length and pick some of these games for this coming week. So let's jump into this puppy and see what happens. Go ahead and grab that Coke out of the fridge, sit back, relax, and enjoy. How we doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Mike?
Pretty good.
It's gonna be fun, as we talk about games like Duke and North Carolina and Indiana, Purdue, and Kansas, Iowa State, plus many more. Austin, I saw where your Birds with Teeth got their third win last week. I mean, last night. Excuse me. Can't talk right today.
Yeah, a big win for us. I mean, bird with teeth, as everyone likes to call it. Got to win. I mean, we beat Georgia Tech. That's not much of an accomplishment, but it's still a win for us. I'll take it any way we can get it.
A win is a
Who
win.
knows? Maybe we'll parlay that into some momentum.
You might be. Hey, Don, play. How are you? Thank you for coming on to the show.
Yep.
So let's see. What's first on our list tonight? That's gonna be really fun.
The first game is VCU and St. Louis.
Oh man, an Atlanta 10 matchup. Honestly, I'm gonna go with VCU on the road.
All right, this game you got Virginia Commonwealth going on the road, at the St. Louis Billikens. That's a tough matchup. St. Louis has been playing better basketball as of late. VCU, they've kind of had some ups and downs, had a bad loss to the Bonnies. They need this game. They need to get a win to, erase that loss per se. You're not going to completely erase it, but you got to counter it with a pretty solid win. And there's not that many great wins that you can get in the A10. But St. Louis is a decent team. I think it's going to be really tough for them to get the road win, but I do think VCU will pull it out 65-64.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this will be a really interesting game. St. Louis, they're really good. VCU, they've struggled. They barely beat Davidson. It took a buzzer beater for them to do it. This game here, I think it'll be close, but I'm thinking St. Louis. I think they're at home. They're tough to play at home, and I think St. Louis wins this game. I think it's close. I got St. Louis 75, VCU 73. I think St. Louis wins.
Well, VCU 17-6, St. Louis is 15-7. VCU against the spread is 9-12-2. St. Louis against the spread is 10-11. VCU is on a 4-game win streak. Johns Jr. and Baldwin average about 30 minutes. They're the best scorers on the team. VCU is 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 versus teams with winning records. The under in VCU games is 5-1 in the last 6. 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 following a straight up win. 6-2 overall against the spread in the last 8. Overall ranks better than St. Louis in almost every stat category. St. Louis, on the other hand, is on a win streak of 3 games. Okoro is the key player, and he averages the most points. The rest of the offense is spread evenly with the roster. The under is 5-0 in St. Louis last 5 Friday games that they've played. 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 versus winning team. 5-1-1 against the spread in the last 7 Friday games. They are 10-3 in under in their last 13 games versus winning record teams straight up. So I'm gonna go St. Louis 62-60.
There we go. I
Do
got
we know
VCU
Will's
win.
pick or not?
Huh?
Do we know Will's pick or not? Okay.
Not so far.
So the next one that we're going to talk about is Boise State and San Diego State.
Well, right before we get to that, Don Player says I had Houston Wichita State over 120. Well, I'll say this: if you bet on that, that's a big win right there. If you went under 100, if you went under, that would have been a bad beat right there. So.
Yeah, on Boise State, San Diego State. Boise State's a good team. They have, solid players. So does San Diego State, the top of the Mountain West, whether it's New Mexico or San Diego State, Boise State, Nevada, Utah State, all good teams. Very solid at the top, all potential tournament teams. But home court matters in every conference, but especially in the Mountain West. You look at a lot of the results. They go down to the wire in a lot of these games, but the home team has been getting most of the wins. I'm going to go with San Diego State to beat Boise State 81-77. San Diego State, yeah, San Diego State.
Yeah. I'm going to go San Diego. I'm going to go San Diego State 67-63. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Mountain West basketball this year. I've watched a little bit, but not much. San Diego State's a really good team. Boise State they're better at football. I think like the man across from me said, home court advantage matters. I think that'll make a lot of it. I think San Diego wins this game. I think they win it big, when it's 67-53. I'm picking San Diego State at home. Yes, San Diego State 67-53.
Oh, well, great minds think alike.
Well, let's see. Boise State is 18-5. San Diego State's 17-5. Boise spread is 15-11. San Diego State against the spread is 8-12-1. Boise State has a 6-game winning streak. For Boise, the Rice is a key player. The offense is spread evenly through the lineup. They're over 4-0 in the last 4, following an against the spread loss. The over 6-0 in the last 6 versus teams with a win percentage better than 600. The under is The under is 4-0 in the last 4 versus teams with win straight up. 6-1 in the over in the last 6-1 in the over in the last 7 following a straight up loss. Overall ranks better in almost every category over San Diego State. They should be able to shut down San Diego State from the 3-point line because their 3-point percentage defense is 5th in the entire country. San Diego State is on a 3-game win streak, and Bradley is the best player on the team. Time on the floor is evenly balanced. The scoring is balanced. And for the over, San Diego State is 6-0 in the last 6 following a straight-up loss. I'm going to go with Boise State 66-62.
Onward to our next game.
You went Boise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he left, the slides went away again.
But yeah, that's going to be a great game. Boise State, San Diego State on Friday. Going to be really big. And let's see our next game. Let's see. I wonder what's next on our list. Well, I guess we're getting close to we're at the Saturday games because there's no more Friday games after this. Should be an easy one. Well, at least for us. Virginia Tech.
I don't think that one was first.
Don Player asked us, do we do this show every day? We do the show Sunday. We do live stream Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Check us out. Tell your friends all about them, and you're gonna catch her. Tell them they're gonna get a really awesome show. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So
But yeah. So Jeffrey, what's your take on Virginia Tech?
Okay. The only reason why I asked is Buck and Mike said it wasn't next, so I was like, okay, then what is? Okay, so you got Virginia. You're going on the road, playing at a tough environment. Virginia Tech has been playing better basketball as of late. They're getting healthy. Again, tough environment. Duke lost there. But Virginia's going to make it a low-scoring game, like they always do. Their style of play is very tough to beat. I think Virginia Tech has a great shot to win, but I'll actually take Virginia 65-64.
I'm going to go Virginia 63-53 over Virginia Tech. Austin, your pick.
This is one of the better rivalry games in college basketball, in which we'll get to some of the greatest rivalry games here soon. But for Virginia Tech, it always delivers, no matter which side of the fence you're on, whether you're a Cavalier or you're a Hokie, whichever one you are. I think this game here is going to be really fun to watch, especially if you're in the middle and you don't have a side. Like Jeffrey said, Virginia always has defense. But Virginia Tech can shoot the three. That's one thing they have in their favor. That's one thing they have in their favor. Virginia Tech, their perimeter defense is very good, but when you got streaky shooters like Virginia Tech has, it makes it very hard. I think this is a game that's going to come down to whichever team has the ball possession last. And I think this will be really good. I think Virginia will make a defensive stop at the end like they always seem to do, and I got Virginia winning 53-50.
I don't know. Playing at Virginia is tough. It is at Virginia, right?
Tech.
Yeah, it's at Virginia Tech.
Gosh. They're pretty even for the most part when it comes to Tech playing at home. Teams are evenly matched, more or less. Virginia 66-63.
Okay.
Virginia? Okay. Well, Then we head over to Madison Square Garden on Fox between the Michigan State Spartans and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Jeffrey, your take on this matchup between Michigan State and Rutgers?
This is an interesting game because both teams are great at home, like most Big Ten teams are, and you're playing on a neutral. I think that both teams are going to struggle a little bit because they're not at home. I think that you're probably going to have, fans from both teams there. Michigan State does travel well, but it's going to be closer to, New Jersey. So I'm sure Rutgers fans will be there. Michigan State's been very inconsistent, and Rutgers kind of has as well, but Rutgers has been a little bit more reliable. I'll take Rutgers 65-63 over Michigan State.
I'm going to go Rutgers 63-60. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, if this was in Michigan State, I would say Sparty all the way, but it's not. It's in Madison Square Garden, on the brightest lights, on the biggest stage. What way to become a legend than in Madison Square Garden? I mean, the mecca of any sport. I think this game, Rutgers, they're no longer considered bad. They're actually decent. They may be a tournament team, maybe. Don't want to get too ahead of myself. But I think this game, it's hard for me to bet against Tom Izzo. It's just hard. I'm picking Michigan State 71-68. It's hard for me to bet against them. I'm going Michigan State. I think Tom Izzo gets it done. And we're getting close to March, and this is when he begins to put it all together.
There we go. Buckeye Mike, your pick on the Madison Square Garden battle between Michigan State and Rutgers.
I don't really think that I don't really think Michigan State is built for a tournament team, and I don't think they're capable of making a run right now. Yes, it's usually when you turn on, but for whatever reason, Michigan State cannot seem to do that. Has lost some shockers. It's not in Michigan, so there is that. I'm going to go 73-71 Rutgers.
Ooh, that's going to be pretty good. And then we have a beautiful Big 12 battle on ESPN at 11 a.m. between the Kansas Jayhawks going to Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State. Jeffrey, your pick on this fine game.
Kansas actually has been a fairly good road team for the most part. I mean, they've slipped up a couple of times, but they've been solid. And actually, at times, have performed better than they have at home. But Hilton Coliseum is insanely tough to win at. Iowa State, their fans are insane. The players, they play at a high level at home. I'm going to go with Iowa State to beat Kansas 73-70. I think Kansas obviously has more talent, and they can go on the road to win and get this win. But I think Iowa State's going to get it done.
I agree. Iowa State is really good at home, but they're very bad on the road. So therefore, I'm going to go with Iowa State 67-62. Austin, your pick on this wonderful game between Iowa State and Kansas.
Yeah. The evidence all points to, Kansas being bad on the road, in which they can be. But we also have to remember that Iowa State, they were up by 20-plus against Texas Tech on Monday night, and they gave that up. This team, in the big moment, showed that they may not show up, and that worries me a little bit. I know it's in Ames, it's at home. This could be their rebound game. This could what submits them as a really good tournament team and maybe submit them in the 2-3 seed in the tournament region. but it's hard to pick against Kansas. I think they're rolling. They're looking to go back to back. Bill Self, this is the time of year like Tom Izzo. He's putting it all together. I'm going Kansas 81-70. Kansas wins on the road. I think the quest for back-to-back is coming, and it starts here.
There we go. And Buckeye Mike, your pick on this wonderful game between Kansas and Iowa State.
Well, I'm glad I don't have to pick Kansas now. Kansas is, as we've all said, not very good on the road. Iowa State's really good at home. And Kansas is in a slump. There is no repeat. We all know it's hard to repeat in college basketball anyway, but there is no repeat with Kansas. You could get there, you're not going to win it. So give me Iowa State 67-59.
Well, that's our 11 a.m. games. Onward to the CBS battle for another Big 12 battle between Texas Tech and Baylor. Jeffrey, your take on Texas Tech Baylor?
Yeah, Texas Tech. They got a big win against Iowa State the other night in overtime. That is keeping their tournament hopes afloat, and potentially getting a big win could jumpstart them to get another win. But this game's at Baylor. And like Iowa State, Baylor is extremely tough to beat at home. I think Texas Tech's going to play really hard in this game because they just got a big win. But I'm going to go with Baylor to beat Texas Tech 75-67.
I'm going to go Baylor 68-60 at home. Austin, your pick.
Okay, so this gentleman, get the sirens going. Woo, 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 upset alert. Another upset alert. I think Texas Tech, they did it to Iowa State. Could Baylor be on upset alert? I don't know. It is in Baylor. And Baylor, they are a very solid defensive team. I'm going to go Baylor, but it's closer than people think. Baylor 79, Texas Tech 78.
Buckeye Mike, your pick on Baylor, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is riding on a high. Baylor's not proven. I wish they could prove themselves, but I don't give them a chance here. Give me Texas Tech 77, Baylor 61.
On to our next game, the Illinois Fighting Illini go to the Iowa Hawkeyes to do battle for bubble watch in the Big Ten. Jeffrey, your take on it.
Illinois. Daggum, that was an echo. Why is there an echo right now? But Illinois is a really good home team, like most of these teams are. And Iowa, they've been playing a little bit better lately. They're a good home team. I mean, it's in the Big Ten. It literally a lot of the times, if it's at home, you usually pick the home team. I'll take Iowa to beat Illinois 75-68.
You got Iowa? Well, Iowa. I'm going to go Illinois 65-63. Austin, your pick.
I guess I'll go. So, I mean, Iowa looked like crap a couple weeks ago against Ohio State, and it kind of climbed back out of that rut that they've created for themselves, but I don't think they've climbed all the way out yet. Illinois overall as a whole is really good. It is at Illinois, right? Or is it at Iowa?
It's at Iowa.
Ugh. Well, still, I mean, Illinois, is a really good home team, and they're still a pretty good road team. I feel like Illinois comes in with the strength here, so I'm going to go Illinois 69-61.
Well, I guess while we're waiting for Austin, we're gonna.
Austin, you pick, man.
Hello, Austin.
Hello.
I'm going with I'm going with Iowa 63. Iowa 63, Illinois 51.
Iowa. So I guess I'm the lone wolf and going with Illinois. But
I went with Illinois.
oh, you did? Oh, I forgot. You and me going with Illinois. That's pretty cool. Here we go. Next game, the Auburn Tigers as they head over to the Tennessee Volunteers. Does Tennessee rebound, or is it gonna be, an Auburn upset for Bruce Pearl as he returns over to Knoxville? Jeffrey, your take on Auburn, Tennessee?
Yeah. Where's this game at again?
It's at Tennessee.
All right, I was trying to find it. There's so many games and can't even find it. Yeah, so it's at Tennessee, Auburn. They've been playing a little bit better lately, but they've still had some ups and downs. The two losses last week weren't very good, but they bounced back from that. I think Tennessee, though, is going to win because it's at home, 80-75.
Well, I think Tennessee's going. Huh?
Tennessee over Auburn.
For sure. I'm going to go Tennessee 74-69. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good game in the heart of SEC country in Tennessee. Tennessee had that letdown against the Gators. I think this is game they rebound back, and I think they put a thrashing on Auburn to make a statement. I think they beat Auburn 79-58.
I think. Yeah, he went with Tennessee, I think.
Okay.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I think that Tennessee wants to show that, last week was a fluke. Auburn is so wishy-washy, and they're not trustworthy enough. It is in the heart of the South, and Tennessee is usually really good at home. So, I'm gonna go Tennessee 77-51 as they look to make the game.
Well, I guess we're all going Tennessee. Maybe that helps Auburn in their favor, and maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But our next game is in the All Clemson Conference in the ACC Network as Miami heads over to Clemson. Jeffrey, what's your take on Miami Clemson?
So it's at Clemson. I mean, talent-wise, Miami's better than Clemson, but both these teams struggle on the road. Clemson, that was a terrible loss to Boston College. But they also had some other performances. The Florida State one wasn't very good. Performance, they only won that one by 1, but they do play better at home. Miami has struggled on the road. I'll take Clemson to beat Miami 72-70.
Well, to your point about Clemson being better at home, they are 12-0 at home. That's big right there. And make that 13-0 at home as I pick Clemson to win 75-63 over Miami. Austin, your pick.
So I know there's a certain Clemson fan that watches our show that probably isn't going to like this answer, but Clemson, they've had the luck of the horseshoe on their side lately. Florida State. If that wasn't a foul at the end of the game, I don't know if they win that game. And then you lose to Boston College, and you can't be doing that. Miami, they're trying to, they're getting there. They're trying to put it all together. I think Clemson, this is where they hit the back half of their schedule, and I believe they begin to decline just a teeny bit. I'm going Miami 63, Clemson 58. I'm going Miami.
Miami, I think, is ups and downs, and Clemson has proven that they tend to show up when the competition is lesser and lock down on the defense. I'm going to go Clemson 66, Miami 54.
Going with Clemson? Alrighty. Well, onward to our next game as we head over to Bloomington, Indiana, as we have Indiana going up against number 1 Purdue. Jeffrey, your take on this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where, it's going to come down to who plays harder because the rivals, one of the best rivalries in college basketball, Duke, Carolina, Indiana, Purdue. I mean, you can't beat games like this. And it's at Indiana, and the home crowd is going to be insane. Indiana has not won a game over the number 1 team since they played Michigan in 2013. And they've had a few other opportunities, but haven't not won those games. Purdue, they're riding high. They're on a 9-game win streak, and it's very tough to continue to win the Big Ten. They've had a lot of close calls on the road. They barely won at Nebraska. They barely won at Michigan State. They barely won at Michigan, but they found ways to get those wins by a couple points. I think Indiana's a tougher environment than those teams. I'll take Indiana to beat Purdue 71-69.
Ooh, there we go. I think it's going to be an Indiana upset, 72-67. It's going to be a very fun night in Bloomington. Austin, your take on this great rivalry in college basketball?
Yeah, this is a great rivalry, like the other two guys have mentioned. Whether Indiana's bad, good, in the middle of the road, this game always seems to mean more. And I think this is no different. I think Indiana comes in this game with a chip on their shoulder to prove that they're back, that they're here to stay. I think this is going to be really competitive. Purdue, Zach Edey, he could score. That's for sure. But he gets in foul trouble. And I think if Indiana gets him in foul trouble early, that's going to be a big key to whether Indiana wins or loses this game. I think overall, though, it is in Bloomington. That environment gets rocking. And I think Indiana will force Purdue into some turnovers. They will struggle, deal with the noise. And I think that I think Indiana upsets Purdue 81-73. I think Indiana pulls off the W.
All right. So This is opening a new chapter to this amazing rivalry. It's one of the most intensive rivalries in in college sports. Purdue's off to its best start and carries a 9-game win streak into this game. Indiana's looking to bounce back off of their loss to Maryland. Matt Painter made it a point for the team not to look past Penn State on Wednesday, with this game looming as his team responded with an impressive 80-60 win. They had a career best outing from Mason Gillis, who had 29 points, 9 threes, which is the most ever by a Purdue player at home in the Mackey Arena, which took pressure off of Zach Edey, who had 18 points and 13 rebounds. This is the first time Purdue will face Indiana while ranked number 1 in the country. The Hoosiers present one of the biggest challenges for the Boilermakers, maintaining that top spot. TJD leads the Hoosiers with 20 and 11 per game, 20 points, 11 rebounds per game. He delivered 18 points and 20 rebounds against Maryland, surpassing the 1,000 rebound mark for his career. Indiana, though, struggled to find any rhythm outside of Jackson Davis due to an effective zone defense by Maryland. And I can see Purdue keeping up that kind of level, possibly, on the defense for Purdue. And so I think Indiana really could edge this one out. I'm going to go with the Hoosiers to edge it out 77-75.
All of us going with Indiana.
I mean, if Indiana's going to win this game, it's all about playing with energy. The home crowd, I mean, that's big key, because you look at the last year's team. Purdue was better last year than Indiana, but it was at home, and Indiana was able to get a win on a last-second three. And this year's Indiana team's better, and this year's Purdue team's better. So if it comes down to the same thing, the home crowd, Indiana plays extremely hard, they should get this win. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
All righty. So our next game is another Big 12 battle, and it's on ESPN2 as we have Texas heading over to Kansas State. Jeffrey, your take on this game?
Texas, they just got a big win over Baylor at home. That was a big win. Kansas State, tough loss at Kansas, but at home, K-State's been tough to beat as well. I'll take K-State to beat Texas 74-70.
I'm going to go with Kansas State 68-63 over Texas. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is an important game in Big 12. This is an important game. Kansas State, they're reeling a little bit. You know, they lost in the fog Saturday. Not Saturday, my bad. Wrong day. They lost in the fog, and you know, and it kind of hurt them a little bit. You know, you never like losing your rivalry. Baylor. Texas beat Baylor. Big win by the Longhorns. I think this will be really fun, competitive game. I'm going Texas to keep the momentum up. Texas 78, Kansas State 71. I'm going Texas.
Okay. So this clash is a pivotal Big 12 matchup. A share of the first place in the rugged Big 12 is on the line in Manhattan. Texas sits alone in first place coming into the game, but K-State is one of 4 teams just a game back at the midway point of the conference season. With a win, The Longhorns will assure themselves of maintaining the top spot and maybe open a little cushion with many of their closest pursuers. A win by Texas would give the Longhorns a split of the season series with the Wildcats. A win by the Wildcats would give them a share of the lead and allow them to sweep the season series with Texas for the first time since 2018. K-State defeated Texas 116-103 in January in the highest scoring game in K-State history. Texas is riding a 3-game conference win streak, and the Longhorns have won 6 of their last 7 league games since falling to K-State. Their 18-4 record through 22 games is their best since starting the 2010 season, 19-3. Serge Rice has scored a season-high 21 in each of his last 2 games. He hit 13 of 23, including 7 of 14 from 3 in the 2 games. He was 5 of 7 on field goals and 4 of 5 threes and 7 of 8 free throws in Monday's win over Baylor. Texas is led by Marcus Carr, 16.7 points per game. He's joined in double figures by Rice, Timmy Allen, and Tyrese Hunter. Interim coach Rodney Terry knows that first place in early February doesn't mean a thing compared to mid-March. The only team to beat Texas at the brand new Moody Center is Kansas State. The Wildcats are coming off of a 90-78 loss to Kansas, where Kansas raced out to an early lead and cruised in the second half. The Wildcats were led by the duo of Marquise Knoll with 23 points and Keontae Johnson with 22, but the Wildcats shot a season low of 34% from the field. Johnson leads the Wildcats as a team with 18 points per game, while Knoll scores 17 per game. Naquan Tomlin averages 11, is the only other Wildcat averaging double figures. And so all around, I think, there's enough power there to contend with Texas, and the fact that it is in Manhattan, it is at home. So it already makes it hard for Texas to win the game, being on the road. I would say that Kansas State will win 67-50.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Marquise Noel. And he's 5'8", and to me, it's still incredible how well he's playing in the Big 12 at 5'8", and it's taken him until now, to be really good because he's been at Kansas State for a while, so he's been a really big surprise. And for Texas, I mean, it's just interesting. Most of their top players are transfers. Marcus Carr transfer, from Minnesota, Timmy Allen from Utah, Tyrese Hunter from Iowa State. So I think that's really interesting. And they've been able to mesh it together pretty well, but they do struggle on the road. So if K-State plays at a high level, then Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel should get them over the top, but it should be a fun game.
Yeah, Keontae Johnson, the transfer from Florida, he's been a big piece to this Kansas State team. After he had collapsed on that floor, which was sad, not a lot of people thought he would play again. And here he is playing at a high level on a tournament team. He's been a big piece to this success. And I think if he continues to play the way he does, Kansas State's going to be a dangerous team because Keon can do it all.
Right. And onward to our next game, the biggest rivalry in all of college basketball, Duke and North Carolina, 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. But you're not seeing Coach Roy Williams and Coach K, but you're seeing Coach Hubert Davis and Coach John Shire going at it. But they both look like bubble teams right now. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey, give us your take on Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina Duke for the last 30 years has definitely been the best rivalry in college basketball. I mean, the scores, they used to have like a scorekeeper where at times the points between the two teams in the last 30 or 40 games were even or whatever, 50 games, incredible. But this year, I mean, Still going to be awesome. It's still Carolina Duke. But I could argue, for Purdue, Indiana, or, another game that's bigger this weekend. But it's still going to be a great game. I think, my hometown Tar Heels, I think that I agree, Edward. I mean, Carolina Duke it's the best rivalry in college basketball over the whole period of time. It's been fantastic. I'm just saying this year you can make an argument that another game is bigger or just this one time. That's all I'm saying. But Carolina Duke, it's gonna be a great game. Hubert Davis, I mean, has the Tar Heels, playing, at a pretty high level, not where they're supposed to be though. Where Carolina was the number one team in the preseason, they were supposed to, potentially be a national championship contending team, and maybe they still will be, but they haven't played like it. Losing to Pitt at home was a bad loss, and they've just had a lot of performances this season where they've struggled mightily. Caleb Love is in a funk. He cannot hit shots like he was last year when he was, hit the three to end Coach K's career. He's just not hitting threes at a high level. Baycott's playing well, but there's only so much he can do. Duke, it's at home. The crazies, they're going to be crazy. I think Carolina, has way more experience than Duke for sure, but Duke has talent. And it's going to come down to whether that talent does not, get rattled against playing in a rivalry game for the first time like this. If Kyle Filipowski and Tyrese Proctor, Jeremy Roach, all of them play well, Duke should win this game. But I do think Carolina has the potential to go in and get the win because they were able to win at Duke last year. And a lot of people thought Duke would win. Now, obviously, the circumstances were different with it being Coach K's final game, home game at Duke, and maybe, the team just was trying not to lose. And when you play that way, you do lose. But I think Duke's going to get this win 74-70 over North Carolina. North Carolina's playing very inconsistent right now. And maybe like last year, they'll shock, America and actually go on the road and get another win at Duke. But the way they're playing right now and the way Duke's playing right now, I think Duke's going to win 74-70.
There we go. I think it's going to be a North Carolina victory, 72-68 over Duke. I think it's going to be in tight fashion, but North Carolina gets the edge over Duke. Austin, your take on this great rivalry in all of college basketball?
Yes, this is the greatest rivalry. This is what you come to Duke and Carolina for. As in college football, you go to Ohio State, Michigan for that rivalry. Another subject for another day. We're basketball. Duke, Carolina, this is what you come here to do. This is the game you play for. This is the game everyone watches. This is the game the NBA scouts look at heavy and tough. How did you play in this game? And for North Carolina, last year they were a national championship team. They made it to the final game, and Kansas was just a better team. They're all that was to it. This year everyone had high expectations of them. Oh, they brought everybody back. Armando Baycott is Wooden Player of the Year candidate. Caleb Love is shooting the three really good to start the year, and North Carolina, they're looking like this championship contender. And now they've hit the downward slope just a hair, losing to Pitt. They lost some rough ones. And I think they just need to get in a groove again like they did last year. And I think they will hopefully they can make a tournament run. And as for Duke, Coach K, I hope he's enjoying retirement. But this is a different team. This is not the Duke of the past. This is not the Duke of Coach K. This is a different Duke. They play different. They've got somewhat of a different style. Paulo Banchero, no longer there. It's a whole new team, learning all new things. I think this is going to be really good. I think the biggest difference is the bigs for both teams, Baycott for North Carolina, and I think he will be the game changer. I think North Carolina wins. I think it's a high-scoring game, 86-82, Carolina wins. And I think Caleb Love hits at least 6 threes. I think he finds his rhythm in this game.
Here we go. Buckeye Mike, your take on the Duke North Carolina rivalry game.
Well, I think it's going to be important for Filipowski and Love and Jeffrey said his name earlier for Carolina. But anyway, you're going to have to Baycott. You're basically going to have those three, and really all five on both teams really show up for this game. It's all out sweat, blood, and tears, and give it your all. I think Love is actually going to hit 8 threes. And North Carolina really, really needs this one because they're flirting with not even making the tournament right now. So they're in dire, desperate need of a win. And you know the old saying, and the only kind of dog that is dangerous is the underdog. So I'm going to go with North Carolina 67 to 62.
All righty. We got ourselves another game lined up, and it's a Big 12 bubble watch battle between the Oklahoma Sooners and the West Virginia Mountaineers. Jeffrey, your take on this good game?
At West Virginia, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Country Road's tough to beat at home. I think Oklahoma, they've been playing better basketball of late, and they're definitely capable of getting this win. But I think Bob Huggins' team, they want to make the tournament. Both teams are tournament quality, but the Big 12 just has so many great teams. But I'll go West Virginia. I think that their guard play and their forwards, I just think that they're going to be able to slow down Oklahoma, better at home. Like if this was at Oklahoma, it literally is one of those games where it's 50-50. It's whoever the home team is has the advantage. I just think West Virginia is going to be able to do a little bit more. I'll take them 74-70.
All right. Well, I'm going to go West Virginia 68 to 65. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is a interesting game. Both teams are on bubble watch. Both teams need this game. I think it'll be really good. West Virginia, they had that great win against Auburn, and then they played TCU really tough without Mike Miles Jr. And, I think they took a lot from that game. They learned a lot. And like Bob Huggins said a couple weeks ago, he feels this team is finally starting to gel, and they're going to put a run together. But Oklahoma, they had that great win against Alabama. I mean, sorry, Jackson, but they just smacked them upside the head. Anywho, I think Oklahoma, that was a building block win. I think they're going to take that win and parlay it into even bigger momentum. I think they go on the road to Country Road and they get the W. It's a gritty one. 62-58. Oklahoma wins.
Buckeye, your pick.
So Oklahoma does have the momentum, and I realize the Alabama win was by like 30 points. But I'm sorry, but that was just a fraudulent win. Alabama did not show up. I'm sorry. But, it's okay because the Oklahoma Big 12 is just going to rear its ugly head again, and it's going to start right here. Oklahoma really needs this win to start heading towards tournament. And I don't see them getting it done. I mean, it's country roads. It's on the road. West Virginia is a tough place to play. And yeah, I think the Morgantown Morgies get it done. Give me West Virginia 77, Oklahoma 51. They're gonna smack them upside the head and show that yeah, Alabama just didn't show up for you guys.
Well, I mean, Grant Sherfield had an amazing game as well. I mean, like you said, sometimes, a player just can light it up, and the whole team just responds. And Alabama didn't play as well either, and it happens.
Yeah, Tanner Grover, he's going to be a big key to this game for Oklahoma.
Yeah, the Eastern Washington transfer.
If he can hit his shots, look out.
You guys think it's crazy the amount of success all these smaller school guys have in the majors between NBA and NFL? I mean, yeah, Carson Wentz is a bad example, but Carson Wentz, some success. He did lead the Eagles to a top seed in the playoffs. Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl. He came from Delaware. Trying to think.
Romo had a success out of Eastern Illinois.
Right. I was trying to think of some basketball guys, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, DiVincenzo on the Warriors. He's already got a ring. Jordan Poole, but wait, no. Both of them are from bigger schools.
Villanova, Michigan.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, though.
Curry, Davidson.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Oh, yeah. Yep, Stephen Curry. Oh, man, I remember those old days at Davidson. He was awesome there.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got – what's up?
You know what's the crazy part? LeBron may get to 6 rings by the end of his career, but Curry could get there before the end of his career, and I don't know how that would make people feel. Like, it literally took like 25 years for LeBron to get 6 rings in 12 finals, and Curry does it in like 8 and goes 6-2, and it's like, okay.
Well, our next game is Kentucky at home going up against the Florida Gators on ESPN.
Yeah, to Edwards' point, he said, he only went to Davidson because he was 6 foot and 130 out of high school. That's funny. What game's next, Jackson?
Our next game is the Florida Gators going to the Kentucky Wildcats. Jeffrey, your take on it?
I've been picking the home team a lot. So I mean, I really want to start picking some road teams, but yet again, I mean, Florida. I mean, this is like a game where you could say you pick Florida because they just won at Tennessee, so they could win at Kentucky. But Kentucky's been playing better. Little by little, they've been starting to, actually play at a higher level of basketball, looking like a team that could potentially get off the bubble and into the tournament. Oscar Tshiebwe, Colin Castleton's interesting matchup because they're 2 different type bigs. Tshiebwe is stocky, burly, can bang down low. Colin Castleton, he's, taller, lankier, kind of guy. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Kentucky's got to make shots. If they don't make shots, they will lose. Because that's been their issue this year is when their guards aren't hitting threes, they have struggled. And Florida, for a lot of the season, has played bad. They've been awful. Not even looking like anywhere near a tournament team. But then you just went at Tennessee. Is it an aberration? Was it because Tennessee played poorly? Who knows? I think this is going to be a close game, but I do think Kentucky beats Florida 65-64.
I think Kentucky's going to win 65-55 against Florida. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, Florida, like was said up in man across from me. They had beaten Tennessee. That was a great win. Florida really needed that. That's going to boost their resume. If Florida is on the bubble, which they are, as I think as we sit today, and they look at that and say, "Oh, they beat number 2 Tennessee. Look at that! Here come the Gators!" And this would be another big one. They beat Kentucky, whether people like it or not. Whether Kentucky has got 9 wins or they've got 25, they are a brand team. Anytime you beat Kentucky, it is a big win. But I think it's all going to come down to how if Kentucky can make shots. If Oscar Sheetway is cleaning the glass and Kentucky's making shots, they're hard to beat. And I don't like saying that either, being a Louisville fan, but I digress.
Well, it shouldn't
This
be-
will be a really good game. I think
Go ahead.
Florida will give Kentucky everything they have, but I think Kentucky will just be too much. I think they'll make their shots on this night. And I think Florida, I think they're going to come down off that big win. I got Kentucky 83, Florida 64. I think Kentucky rolls with it.
Buckeye Mike, your pick.
So it seems like everyone's forgetting something.
What's that?
The entire Kentucky offense is involved around Oscar Tshiebwe. If you look at all the average points, he averages the most points per game. It's around 20 points per game. And the rest of the team each individual averages around 8 to 10 points per game. Sometimes higher, but usually it's mostly like that, and that's partially why Kentucky has struggled throughout the year the way that they have. And Florida, another bubble team. I think with the way that Kentucky has struggled this year, though, I really think Florida could go in there and get the upset W in this case. I mean, yes, to Jeffrey's point, it is hard to win on the road, but it's Kentucky, and they've been up and down all year. Both teams have, but it's this is one of those matchups where it's like, what's a good example? It's like Yao Ming versus Shaq back in Shaq's days when Yao Ming was also in the league. It's one of those, like, the main focus is the bigs matchup.
Right.
Yeah, the UK guard play hasn't been good. They've had to lean on Oscar, as Edward says. And again, I just don't think Kentucky gets it done. I'm going to go Florida 69, Kentucky 65.
All right, then. And onward to our next game between the Washington Huskies as they go over to USC, go over to LA to play the USC Trojans. Jeffrey, your pick.
Yeah, you've got USC. They're a bubble team, but they're a team that is on the right side of the bubble. Washington on the fringes of the bubble, but they're not in the tournament field right now. They need this win to have a shot later on in the season, to make the tournament. But USC's been playing better as of late. They've been playing really well. They just got a big win over UCLA. I think they're going to continue it at home. I'll take USC to beat Washington 80-67.
80-67 USC, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go USC 78-66. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is going to be a good game, I think. Like Jeffrey said, USC, they're on the right side of the bubble right now. Things are looking good for them. Washington, not so much. This is a game that, in a lot of people's books, they got to have. And USC, they are at home. They are tough. They are a tough team at home. And I know people always make the joke LA don't have no fans. Well, USC's fans show out, so their environment's pretty rocking. I think this is going to be a really good game. I expect the 3-point shots to be cooking that night. I think USC will beat Washington 91-85.
Here we go. Onward to Buckeye Mike. Hello in there. Well, nothing yet. Oh, well. I guess while we wait, we'll go to our next game, Arizona State and Oregon. Jeffrey, your take on Oregon heading over to Arizona State in this Pac-12 bubble watch game.
Yet again, it's kind of the same scenario. Arizona State technically is on the right side of the bubble, even though they have been slipping as of late. Oregon on the wrong side of the bubble. But, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where Dana Altman's always been a coach. He's been able to bring a lot of his teams back from oblivion where they're like nowhere near the tournament. And then they come around and they actually start playing better toward the end of the season. I don't know. This one's interesting, but I think I'll take the upset this time. I'll take Oregon to beat Arizona State 75-70.
I'm going to go Arizona State 66-63. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is another game like the USC Washington. Arizona State's on the right side, Oregon, not so much. And Oregon was ranked in the top 25 to begin the year. A lot of people had high expectations for this team, that this team would compete with Arizona and UCLA for the Pac-12 this year. And it kind of hasn't gone as planned. And I think, in Arizona State, incredible job. They're finally able, hopefully, if they could keep this going and not slip too far down the totem pole, get to the tournament. Just an incredible job to bring Arizona State back to relevancy. I think this is a good game. It's in the desert. Pac-12 teams struggle in the desert. They just do. And I think, in Oregon especially, I think Arizona State wins this game 73-62. I think they win it going away.
Buckeye Mike, what's your take on Oregon, Arizona State? Not there yet? Well, we'll get back to it.
He might have fell asleep.
I guess he did. But we got the best rivalry in the West Coast in college basketball. Gonzaga and St. Mary's, 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. Jeffrey, your take on this great matchup between Gonzaga and St. Mary's.
Now, this is a great game right here because, I mean, you think about it. Usually, Gonzaga is the one that's top the West Coast Conference, and St. Mary's is second. But now it's the other way around. Gonzaga suffered a loss to Loyola Marymount, and St. Mary's is still undefeated. So, I mean, they're playing at an extremely high level right now. I think that overall, I think both teams are really solid. I think Gonzaga is not as good as they've been in years past, but I still think, they have a solid team. I mean, the issue for Gonzaga has been their guard play. I mean, that's been the problem because in the past, I mean, they've had elite guard play. And unfortunately, they don't have elite guard play this year. Their best guard statistically is Rozier Bolton, who's averaging 10.5 points per game. But unfortunately, I mean, they just don't have a Jalen Suggs, Andrew Nembhard right now. But I think that they're still really solid. Now, St. Mary's is in a tight battle right now as we speak with San Francisco. but if they do win, they'll still be undefeated in West Coast Conference play. Tough place to play at St. Mary's. Gonzaga, I think that they're going to play hard to try to take back the West Coast Conference, especially if St. Mary's is still undefeated. But I'll take St. Mary's 75-72 over Gonzaga.
Oh, there we go. I'm gonna go St. Mary's 75-70 over the Zags. Austin, your pick.
Yeah. Yeah, to Jeffrey's point, Gonzaga, they've lacked guard play this year big time. They're really missing Nemhard and Suggs, the guys who could kind of calm the crew down when things start to get out of control, calm them down. Like, okay, let's get back on offense. And the bigs, Gonzaga's always had really good bigs along with the guard play. And now it's kind of seemed like it's just the Drew Timme show. And he's trying his best, but sometimes you just can't do it all by yourself. Gonzaga's still a really good team. St. Mary's, though, they've been known to beat Gonzaga in years past. For whatever reason, Gonzaga struggles with this team.
Especially when it's at
Don't know
St.
why.
Mary's.
Yeah. I think Gonzaga finally gets the monkey off their back, though. I think Gonzaga is sick and tired of people saying they're not good. When they played some of the teams like Texas earlier in the year, people calling them frauds. I think they're sick of it, and they're gonna prove why they should be a 1 seed again. I think this is close. I think Gonzaga wins 71-68. I'm going Zags to get the monkey off their back.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun. The old Zags. Well, that puts an end to our Saturday games as we head over to our Lone Wolf Sunday game between Michigan and the Ohio State Buckeyes on CBS. Jeffrey, your take on this game?
It's at Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games where it's like Ohio State just lost at home to Wisconsin. Tough loss. I mean, they're now 11-11. And their tournament hopes are on the brink. I mean, they have to start getting some wins. Michigan is on the outside of the bubble. They were 11-10, but they just won at Northwestern by a decent amount, 68-51. So Michigan, they just went on the road, and they also played Purdue really tough, but barely lost. Ohio State is reeling bad right now. I think Michigan will beat Ohio State 70-57.
You got who was again, Buckeyes or Wolverines?
Michigan 70-57.
Okay. I got Michigan winning 65-61. Austin, your take on Michigan, Ohio State?
Yeah, the game. I know in basketball it doesn't mean as much to a lot of people, because these two aren't really basketball schools in a lot of people's eyes. Well, Michigan, I take that back, Michigan. But Ohio State, they're more the football. Wake me up when we get to football season. And then, which that's sad, but we understand. But yeah, this is still a great rivalry in my book. I think this will be a really physical game. I think defense will show up. And I think Hunter Dickinson, he's going to be a big part of the Michigan offense. I think he's going to be the reason why they win this game. Ohio State, I don't think they have it. They're really struggling. They can't hit shots. And, they just can't get the lid off the basket. I think Hunter Dickerson and Michigan, they realize their tournament hopes are still there. I think they win the game 61-52. Michigan wins.
Well, onward to our Monday games as we head over to Miami as we see a battle between Duke and Miami. Jeffrey, your take on it?
Yeah, this is interesting because now we're starting to project a little bit since we're doing all the way down the road to the next week games or whatever. Because it's very interesting to think like, what if Miami beats Clemson and Duke loses to North Carolina? Or what if Duke beats North Carolina and Miami loses to Clemson? So you kind of you're trying to think about the results to get these results, but besides the fact, it's almost impossible to project. Miami, again, as I've said almost on every game, a way better team at home. Duke has struggled on the road. They did blast Georgia Tech though, but I'll take Miami over Duke 70-69.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Miami 68-63. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is what makes it tough because when we do it all the way up to the next to next Thursday, it kind of makes it a little bit difficult because you're trying to project because one team may come in more urgent than the other. But Miami's at home, as Edward points out in the chat, Miami's a really good team at home. But something wants me to believe Duke. This is still Duke. Duke is Duke still, and I just don't lose faith in Duke. I think Duke goes on the road to Miami and they beat the Canes 69-66. I think Duke wins.
Well, I'm sorry, Austin, but yeah, the days of Duke being Duke is over. Long done and over with. Yes, it's Duke is Duke in name only. Miami has actually started to turn things around and look good. Doing so, it is at home. They've made it hard to play at home, and yeah, I think it'd be hard for Duke to stay in lockstep with Miami, and I think eventually Miami wears it down and pulls away from Duke. I'm gonna go Miami 69, Duke 51.
Alrighty. Our next battle is between the Kansas Jayhawks and the Texas Longhorns on Monday night on ESPN.
So we got this game's at Kansas. Texas again struggles on the road. Kansas is a really great team at home, but they did lose to TCU, so they are beatable, and they've had some close calls. But I think Kansas gets it done in a close one over Texas, 69-67. I think Jalen Wilson, he's clutch right now. He's hitting big shots, and I just don't think Texas is going to have that clutch gene at Fog Island Fieldhouse. So I got Kansas 69-67.
I'm going to go with Kansas 68-61. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is going to be a prove it game for Texas in my book. Many people may already say that they're here, they're in the Big 12, that they've arrived, they're on Kansas level, Baylor, but not quite yet. No. If they go and beat Kansas, okay, we could talk about you being on their level. But until I see that, not yet. I'm not ready to crown you just yet. I think this will be a good game, but I think Kansas wins. I think Jalen Wilson, he's got it going. Grady Dick, I think he's going to be a big playmaker in this game. I think overall Kansas smothers Texas, and I got Kansas winning 75-68. Jayhawks win.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is this?
Kansas, Texas.
Is it at Lawrence?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm. Kansas has lately been kind of up and down to me. And Texas is also kind of up and down, but lately they've been a little more proven. Um, that's a tough one. Not to use the same example or excuse, but to Jeffrey's point all night, it is hard to win on the road. But I think Texas has enough firepower and enough units to get the job done and hold down the fort. I think Texas wins in a close one, 61-59.
Onward to the Tuesday games as we head over to Connecticut on Fox Sports 1 as we have a matchup between Marquette and UConn. Jeffrey, your take on this battle?
This one's at UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tough to win on the road, as I've said on every game. But UConn has been struggling. And yes, they've kind of been playing a little bit better, last couple games. But Marquette is on fire. Shaka Smart has the Golden Eagles playing better basketball than the Huskies. I think that Tyler Kolek is a fantastic point guard. I think Oso Iguodala has been playing really solid basketball. He's taken a big leap forward this year. Cam Jones, really solid player. I mean, they just got good players, and they're playing great, offense. UConn, I mean, Adama Sanogo, he could be a problem, for Marquette because he's big. He kind of seems like a player that belongs in the Big Ten right now, but he's good. He's a really solid big man. He's a little undervalued in college basketball because of the fact you have players like Drew Timme, Trace Jackson Davis, Zach Edey, Oscar Tshiebwe, Armando Bacot, but he's still a really solid player in his own right. And they also have other good players, Jordan Hawkins. UConn, they've got talent, but Marquette's playing better basketball. I'm going to take Marquette to beat UConn 80-72.
Yeah, I'm going with Marquette 85-72 on this one. Austin, your take?
This is a really good Big East game. First one of the night. Because the Big East ain't what it used to be. Villanova, they've had a down year, and UConn's on the way back up. Marquette's there. Creighton's finally getting healthy. Seton Hall, they're finally getting healthy. The teams that we normally see are finally getting back up. I think this will be a really good, interesting game. UConn, when healthy and playing really well, could be one of the best teams in basketball. That's how good they are. But Marquette, there's something about them. I don't know what it is, but there's something about them that you just say, this team has got it. They just have to put it together. They just got to get the pieces together. I think since it's in UConn, I think it'll be really, really tough to win, environment to win in. I think UConn wins this game at home to solidify their case as a top 5 seed in the tournament and to show that they're back. I think it'll be close. I'm going UConn 72, Marquette 67. I'm going Huskies.
I don't think UConn can make the statement win. They're not back. They haven't been back since Kemba left. And UConn is just one of those teams that just pops up out of the blue every so many years and gets lucky to go on the 6-game run at the end of the year and cool off with biggest magic you've ever seen in your entire life. But UConn is down. Marquette is average, starting to trend upwards. I think Marquette basically punches UConn in the face and proves that you're not worthy enough to make the tournament. They're not going to make it this year. If they do, it's going to be by the skin of their teeth, and they're going to probably get beat out the first round. So to make it worth something, I'm going to go Marquette 72-56.
Then we have ourselves a battle in the Big Ten between Indiana and Rutgers. Jeffrey, and it's at Indiana. Jeffrey, give us your take.
Yeah, you're coming off Purdue, the emotional game, whether you win or lose. Rutgers is a problem for Indiana. Indiana's not beaten them in a long time. It's been 3-4 years now. I think since the Romeo year, actually, was the last time they beat Rutgers. But yeah, they've struggled against Rutgers. Rutgers has won on the road this season. They won at Iowa. That was a good win for them. I don't know, man. I think this one could go either way. But since I picked Indiana to beat Purdue, I think Indiana will continue the good streak and win in front of another great home crowd, 68-66. It's going to be close. And I could definitely see Rutgers winning, but because, I mean, they've beaten them so many times. But Indiana, it's at home, and they play much better at home, so we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Indiana 67-63 in this battle over Rutgers. Austin, give us your pick on Indiana Rutgers.
Jeffrey, I don't like to do this to you, but this could be the classic Indiana letdown game. Because if they beat Purdue, I could see Indiana not playing their best this game, and Rutgers sneaking up on you guys. I really can. I would hope Mike Woodson has got you all better than that now, and you don't turn into those teams. But Rutgers is a problem in the Big Ten, and for you guys, I think Rutgers will make some noise. And if you all are healthy, y'all are one of the best teams in the Big Ten. But since you're not, it's going to all depend on your guard play and if Trace Jackson Davis is there or not. If he is, Indiana can win this game by a landslide. But if he's not, it could get a little messy. I'm going to go Hoosiers. I think Mike Woodson has y'all playing better, and I think off the big win, I think he'll keep you guys poised. I'm going Indiana 63-60.
You going Indiana?
Yep, that's what he said.
Yes. Indiana. Close, though.
So, Jeffrey, do we know the status of like Xavier Johnson and everybody?
Xavier Johnson, he wants to play. He's been practicing before games, but he doesn't really have velocity with his foot. He can't really jump much. But he's really trying to get back. I would project he's not going to be in either of these next two games. He's probably going to be back mid to late February, I would think.
Okay. It seems like Woodson has Indiana on a roll right now. Rutgers, to your point, because you deserve the credit, you said it first. To your point, gives Indiana a heck of a fight all the time, and it's hard for Indiana to beat Rutgers. That being said, I think it's going to be close in the end. I think you see another dominant, massive performance out of TJD. And I think essentially TJD is going to win them the game. I mean, yes, not the entire offense is going to do him, but majority enough of the offense and the key moments are going to go through TJD. And I could almost sense Indiana digging itself out of a decent size hole, being down 10 to 15 at one point and climbing back. Because, as you said, we did project them to win against Purdue. that would definitely help Indiana coming into this game. And Rutgers has proven themselves worthy against big teams. I mean, they did knock out Purdue.
Yeah, and they won at Purdue as well. Yeah, I forgot to mention that when I said they won on the road. I said they won at Iowa, but they also have won at Purdue. Great point.
And as tough as Rutgers will be, I still think Indiana gets the job done. I think it'll be 73-72 with TJD hitting the last shot at the buzzer to dig Indiana out of the aforementioned hole that they will be in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think in this game, I don't feel like if Indiana wins the Purdue game, that's the key. And I know that's hard to pick double games like this, but if Indiana wins the Purdue game, I think they come into the Rutgers game with all the momentum and not really seeing them like have a hangover, so to speak, from the massive Purdue win, even if it's a 1 point win. And you know, yeah, it's all going to be key on the Purdue game because if Indiana loses, then maybe Rutgers walks out with a win. But my pick is Indiana. But if Indiana loses, I think Indiana comes into Rutgers game not as motivated, wanting to show up as much as they would if they had won. And if they would lose Purdue, I think they would just get their heart kicked out of it more or less than a loss.
So you're going with Indiana?
Yep.
Alrighty. So our next game is going to be Auburn going to Texas A&M, 6 p.m. on ESPN2.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because Auburn's been playing, not great basketball lately, and Texas A&M's been playing, better than a lot of people probably are giving them credit for. I mean, they've been actually a solid team this year. I mean, do I think they're one of the best teams in the SEC or even one of the best teams in the country? Not necessarily, but they have proven themselves to be a good team. I mean, they are definitely capable of knocking off opponents. I mean, they've probably overperformed people's expectations. I don't know really what people thought they were going to do this year, but I mean they've been solid. I mean, the loss at Arkansas was tough, but they are a better home team, and they've already won, against Auburn on the road. But something tells me Auburn's going to get revenge on this game because it's like, you lose at home. You lose the home winning streak, and you get blasted by them. Texas A&M at home. I think Auburn's going to remember it, and I think they're going to go on the road and beat Texas A&M 70-67.
Auburn victory, huh? I think it's going to be a Texas A&M victory, 70-64. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Auburn has been playing very good basketball as of late. A&M, they're better than a lot of people give them credit for. I know everyone makes the jokes about their football program about how Jimbo's a salesman and he's robbing them of money. But Texas A&M is really good at basketball. They could be a tournament team. And to Jeffrey's point, are they one of the best teams in the SEC? Probably not. Country, definitely not. But I think they're a team that could give anybody a problem if they tried. And I think they will with Auburn. But I think in the end, Auburn's too deep on the bench, too talented. I think with them already having lost this team once, I think they will learn from all their mistakes, and they will win this game 76-68.
You got Auburn winning this one, Austin?
Yes, Auburn wins. I think they get their revenge.
Okay. Buckeye Mike, your pick.
Auburn is so wishy-washy, and they're on a downward roll as of late. And I don't think they have capability or what it takes to dig themselves out of this problem. So yes, A&M's not that much better, but I think A&M gets the job done in this one. Barely gets the job done, but gets the job done and walks out with a W. I'm gonna go A&M 71 to Auburn 69.
All righty, our next game will be Dayton heading over to VCU on Tuesday night.
Yeah, Dayton's been playing awful lately. They've been playing really bad basketball, and they've played themselves out of the tournament. I don't even know if they could get an at-large bid at this point, even if they won out and then lost in the final. Maybe they could still, but they've been playing bad. I think VCU, again, a little bit of projecting, but I have them winning at St. Louis. I think they continue the good vibes, and they beat they just brain farted me. Whatever. VCU wins 70 to 66. I completely forgot. Dayton, over Dayton. I'm tired. It's 1 a.m. 70-66.
I'm going to go VCU 66-60. Austin, your pick.
I'm going Dayton 81-60.
Yeah, to Jeffrey's point, they played themselves out, and I don't see them being motivated to win at this point. I mean, it all can go to VCU, and yeah. So as much as I don't like VCU, just kidding. I don't know. I don't. That's tough because I want to pick Dayton, but at this point, if you pick Dayton, then it's a pick. I feel like, because to your point, Jeffrey, we don't know if it'll even matter if Dayton wins or not, because it'd be one measly win. They don't want a win streak, but I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna go VCU 77-52.
Did you pick Dayton, Austin, or did you pick VCU? I can't remember.
He picked Dayton.
Okay.
Dayton.
Okay, so our next Tuesday game will be North Carolina State going to Virginia. Jeffrey, your take.
NC State has been a really solid team this year. They have been playing great basketball. I think they're definitely a tournament team. But Virginia is not, to me, a good matchup the way they play basketball. NC State wants to run the floor. Virginia wants to slow it down. It's at Virginia. I'll take Virginia. I think Armand Franklin will have a big game as well. I think Virginia is going to beat NC State 70-63.
I got Virginia winning 65-49 over North Carolina State. Austin, your pick.
Yeah, one of the big keys to this game is can NC State hit their threes and clean up the offensive glass. If they get second chance points and NC State can hit threes and get transition threes, it's going to be a long night for Virginia because that NC State is very, very good at that. But Virginia can also, if they can get you to play at their pace, you're in their wheelhouse. And NC State doesn't do well with slow. They like to push the pace and make you think on your heels. And I think this game will be really close. I think Virginia is going to play NC State style basketball. And I think it's going to bite them in the butt just a wee bit. But I still think Virginia's good enough to hold on and win. 51-48. Virginia wins.
Yeah, I this one I think is definitely lower scoring than most of the recent ones have been. NC State needs the transition points, needs to hit their threes like hold Virginia as much as its offense is pretty explosive. And I think for a while, NC State can hold it down, but I think Virginia is eventually going to keep it out. It's going to be 55-51 Virginia.
And our next game is a Big 12 battle between Kansas State and TCU, and it's at Kansas State. Jeffrey, your take on this game?
TCU is a really good team, but Mike Miles is injured, and that is a problem. And they're capable of winning on the road. They won at Kansas, but it was with Mike Miles. And even if he somehow is able to play, he's not going to be 100%. I don't think he's available. I think K-State is obviously with a healthy team, Keontae Johnson, Marquise Noel. It's going to be enough over TCU. He's not going to have enough firepower without Mike Miles. I got K-State 80-71 over TCU.
I got Kansas State 83-73 over TCU. Austin, who's your pick?
Yeah, Kansas State, they got a lot of talented guys. Keontae Johnson, obviously his story and all that. Like I said earlier, they're a really good team. They have a good bench. TCU, Eddie Lampkin, he's a big piece. He's a big rebounder. Mike Miles Jr., he's a guy who can create. And, TCU seemed to do okay without him against West Virginia. But as we know, West Virginia and Kansas State are two different teams. And I think not having Mike Miles is going to hurt them this game. I think Kansas State just has too much. I'm going Kansas State 71-53.
Yeah, I think in this one, there's too many injuries from TCU's end. I don't think they have enough firepower to keep up with Kansas State, which stinks because TCU did already beat them. And it'd be nice to see TCU get a season sweep, but I don't think it'll happen. I just don't think TCU has enough firepower in them, and Kansas State seems to be getting hot overall and hot from the 3-point line. So, Kansas State 75 to TCU 58.
All right. Then our next game is Kentucky at home going up against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Jeffrey, your take on it?
Arkansas has been getting healthier. They're playing better basketball. Kentucky is at home. They've been playing better as of late. But I think Arkansas is going to give them some struggles. I actually take Arkansas 70-67.
I'm going to go with Kentucky 70-61 over Arkansas. Austin, your pick.
I think Arkansas has a better defense, and I think, if Oscar Sheetway is cleaning the glass, it's going to be trouble for the Razorbacks. But, like it's been pointed out multiple different times, he is their offense sometimes. And if Kentucky can hit shots, they're a hard team to beat. But if they can't, Arkansas, I think, wins this game. So it's in Rupp. I'm going to pick Arkansas to win this game. I think even in Rupp, I think defense is still too much. Kentucky, they're going to get harassed, and it's not going to be good. I think Arkansas wins 83-72.
In my opinion, I feel like it's hard to win games when you run through when your offense runs through one player. And, for Kentucky, that's Oscar Sheboy. To the point that I made earlier, he averages double the points that the whole rest of the team averages. He is a monster threat, but there's no outside threat, not really. It's just a threat inside the paint. And I think Arkansas can overcome that, especially if they can manage to get turnovers that they need, and just force mistakes out of Kentucky, whether it's turnovers, bad passes, tipped shots. Heck, anything seems to be legal in basketball nowadays. Just freaking punch a guy in the face. Not really. But I think Arkansas will pull off the upset, and I think it'll be 61-51 Arkansas.
All righty. Then we head over to Wednesday as we have a big Big 12 matchup between West Virginia at home going up against Iowa State on ESPN2.
Iowa State struggles on the road, and they're much better at home. West Virginia is playing better as of late. They're at home. I'll take the Mountaineers. West Virginia is going to win 75-70 over Iowa State.
Well, I'm going to go West Virginia 70-65. Austin, your pick.
Iowa State struggles on the road, like Jeffrey mentioned, and I think West Virginia, they need this game. And I think, they kind of hit the downward spiral Iowa State has. And I have them losing to Kansas, so I think they get the bounce back here. I think they go on the road, silence some critics, but it's close. I think they win 80-78. I'm going Iowa State.
Buckeye Mike, your pick.
I think West Virginia is just too good at home, and Iowa State doesn't really seem to be testing too much of people. West Virginia 75-70.
Well, then we got Baylor and Oklahoma in a pretty good matchup. Jeffrey, your take on Baylor, Oklahoma?
Is this game at Oklahoma?
Let me check. I believe it's at Baylor.
It's at Baylor. Baylor is really good at home. Oklahoma, they've been playing better basketball lately, but I'll take Baylor 75-71 over Oklahoma. They got solid players, and they're playing better basketball the past 7-8 games, and it's at home. They should be able to pull this one out, but Oklahoma is capable, so you never know.
Right. I'm gonna go with Baylor 74-68. Austin, your pick.
I think Baylor's defense smothers Oklahoma, and I think too much defense for Oklahoma to overcome. I think Baylor just proves they're the better team overall. I got Baylor 75-61. I think the Bears get it done.
Here we go.
I think Oklahoma pulls this off. 75-73. Just too much defense from Oklahoma.
You think Oklahoma's going to pull it off?
He said
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
that's what I said. Oklahoma.
All right. Then to end the Wednesday night slate, we have Utah State at home going up against San Diego State. Jeffrey, your take on that one?
I think Utah State is a team that's trying to find their way and making the tournament. They kind of seem to be the odd team out of the top 5 in the Mountain West from, people projecting them to make the NCAA tournament. You see New Mexico, Boise State, San Diego State, and now Nevada creeping in there as tournament teams, but Utah State's still kind of on the outside looking in. But they're really solid. They're a really good team, especially at home. I'll take Utah State over San Diego State, 83-80.
I'm going to go Utah State 71-64. Austin, your pick.
I'm going with Utah 85-75.
Utah State, huh?
Give me the Aztecs, baby.
All righty.
86-67.
All righty. Then we got the Thursday night slate as we have Purdue potentially rebounding at home against Iowa. Jeffrey, your take on that?
Purdue, especially if they're coming off a loss to Indiana, is not going to lose this game at home. Iowa is playing better, but they've gotten a lot of their wins at home. I'll take Purdue 69-59 over Iowa.
I'm going to go Purdue 69-48. Austin, your pick.
I think Purdue bounces back, and in a big way. Purdue rolls 84-57.
Got Purdue winning. Now it's Buckeye Mike's turn.
Yeah, I think as much as I'd want to say Purdue starts to fall down a drain, they usually don't do that till tournament time. So we're still in the regular season, so I'll take Purdue in this one. I'll go Purdue 84, Iowa 57.
All righty. Well, then we got that little matchup between UCLA and Oregon State. Jeffrey, your take on UCLA heading over to Oregon State?
Oregon State is a team that they're toward the bottom of the Pac-12. Losing Jared Lucas was a tough loss to the portal to Nevada. They've got some decent players, but they just don't have enough talent overall. If UCLA just plays their game and Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell have big games, then they should get this win 79-63.
Got the Bruins winning this one. All righty. I'm going to go UCLA. Yep, I'm going to go UCLA 83-59.
Yeah, I put this game on here for our good buddy Connor Johnson, who's a big Oregon State guy. But, we love you, buddy, but we all know UCLA is going to run them off the floor. And it's just a sad reality. UCLA wins 87-62.
No chance for Oregon State. And UCLA is just too powerful. 88-67.
All righty. And our last one is the Oregon Donald Ducks going up against the USC Spartacus Trojans. And it's at
yeah, it's at Oregon. That's a tough one. Autzen, it's not Autzen Stadium like in football, but Oregon basketball has a decent home crowd as well. I think that I picked him to win the last game. I'll pick him to win this one as well. I'll going Oregon over USC 71-67.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oregon 70-64. Austin, your pick.
I'll go Trojans again. I think the Trojans win. That they need this for their tournament hopes. And I think they win 74-71. Fight on.
You got
Quack.
USC?
Quack, 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 quack.
Yep, USC for me.
Okay.
Ugh. I'm going Ducks 71-64, baby.
And that's the last of our picks from Friday, February the 3rd to Thursday, February the 9th. And check out those great games, and you're going to have a great time watching them. And check out some more content from the Young Guns. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Yeah.